Hello, I'm Katarina Ahrens with the visionholders.org website. When you go to the website, there is a place that says the grid of light and the place to sign in there. And when you sign in on the registration form, it has a question of will you commit to prayer daily for the grid of light. My question for you is, when you think of prayer, what do you think of? The standard thing that's very common is the idea of the prayer, the hands held together in prayer. Where we put our attention creates. And when I think of stopping and holding our hands together in prayer, we're stopping and pausing and putting our attention on another world, on another dimension. So we calm ourselves and we put our focus that way. Many people, through the institution of religion, may have prayer associated with a lot of rules, a lot of regulations, a lot of not necessarily good associations. And so we've had some questions come in for people wanting to sign up for the grid and having some questions about the prayer requirement, suggestion, whatever. And what it is to be in positive energy and send positive energy into the grid. And so I'd like to share with you something that a friend of mine, Raj, shared with me. Do you pray? I loved this interpretation of prayer. What is a prayer? Prayer doesn't just happen when we kneel or put our hands together and focus and expect things from God. That's kind of the stereotype. Thinking positive and wishing good for others is a prayer. I'm going to say that one again. Thinking positive and wishing good for others is a prayer. That's what I'm talking about when I'm asking, will you pray daily for the grid, to put that energy into the grid? Positive energy, wishing good for others. That's a prayer. When you hug a friend, that's a prayer. When you cook something to nourish family and friends, that's a prayer. When we send off our near and dear ones and say, drive safely, be safe, that's a prayer. When you are helping someone in need by giving your time and energy, that's a prayer. When you forgive someone by your heart, that is prayer. Prayer is a vibration, a feeling, a thought. Prayer is the voice of love. Friendship, genuine relationships. Prayer is an expression of your silent being. Keep praying always. On the website, one of the menu items says World Peace. And on World Peace, underneath that is an area of prayers. And one of them, the top, says the universality of religion. Start the day with love, fill the day with love, spend the day with love, and end the day with love, for this is the way to God. And it has several prayers all the way down that are suggestions, just purely suggestions. You find what fits for your heart energy. This is about you going within and find what fits for you, what matches for you. This isn't about external rules or regulations. This is about you and your heart energy of going within and finding what fits for you. And at the bottom of the page is an awesome video, a YouTube, that says the universality of prayer is simply thank you, thank you, thank you. So if the only thing you want to do when you pray daily for the grid is to say thank you from your heart energy and send that into the grid, that's fine. Prayer doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to have rules. It doesn't have to have only one right way, quote unquote. It's about your heart energy. It's about the energy of goodwill. If I had to summarize what we're doing in the grid with prayer, it's we're focusing upward and bringing in the energies of heaven down through us, down to the earth. So what we're praying for is, may heaven appear on earth. May we bring in the energies of heaven to earth. May we ask for those. This is one of the symbols I have in one of my home altars, and it's that bringing in the energies of heaven and anchoring them down into the earth. And this symbol is a white eagle symbol that's like the medicine wheel. It has the north, south, east, west in the circle, and the two pyramids, the two triangles, which represent balance. So when we're praying, we're bringing in balance. May heaven and earth be balanced. May the masculine and feminine be balanced. May our ego and the soul be balanced. May our relationships be balanced. May our heart energy be balanced. So what we're doing is living like there's heaven on earth. That if we can think about, what do we long for? When we think of heaven, what are the energies we think of with heaven? And to bring those down through us to earth. We want those on earth. When you're joining in the grid, when you're praying, your first thought would be to tune into higher energies. So go vertical first. Well, and it's actually inside. It's both vertical, it's a both and. Vertical, we think of it as, that's our stereotype of higher, but it's within us, it's within our heart energy. So to tap into those higher energies, and then tap into the grid. Tap into each other, and in your mind's eye, connect heart to heart. In your mind's eye, connect hand to hand. In your mind's eye, see all of us connected as one. And what we're doing is bringing that energy in and then sending it out into the grid. And it's energy of goodwill. I have a daily calendar with quotes, and yesterday's quote was, I do not waste time on negative thinking because I'm focused only on creating more of what I want. This is the tricky part, because we start with the ego. And in a personal example, my daughter is a middle school teacher, and she's returning to school, and at this moment in time, their county is going back in person, which is creating a lot, and the students are going back in person. And so it's creating a lot of fear, anxiety, anger, of whatever, on many levels. So the last few days, on a personal example, I've had to deal with my human feelings, my ego feelings of anger about the lack of leadership, fear about them putting the teachers and school staff and the students at risk. That's where we all start, is with our human, with our ego, with the negative. The problem is those feelings of fear and anger have very low vibrations, and that's not what we want to put out into this grid. So our challenge is, we can't avoid that stage. We have to go through the ego stage. We have to allow our feelings and be honest with our feelings and express our feelings. But then the goal is to not stay there. The goal is to then transform those and flip them. Flip them into, that's what we don't want. So our challenge is to flip them into, what do we want? So for example, in my case with my daughter, my frustration and anger is about the lack of competent leadership, and that sometimes those that rise to power are some of the ones who abuse power rather than the finest of human nature. And so to flip that, what I want to put into the grid is a prayer of asking for and holding the image of competent leadership, caring leadership, leadership like Representative John Lewis, who we've just lost, that passed to another side. His energies were courage and honesty and integrity and justice. That's what we want to do. So we start with the negative, then flip it into what we do want, because what we give attention to grows. And so if I stay in those lower energies, that's what I'm magnifying. So my personal challenge, and the challenge for all of us then, is to flip it to what we do want. So by focusing on, okay, I want competent leadership, and so to take that and then send that out into the grid, because what we're doing is bringing in the energies of heaven to earth and focusing on how do we want things to be and bring that in. Or the other one is the fear for my daughter's safety, the fear for all the teachers' safety and all the children's safety. So to flip that would be to visualize them safe, to visualize them in a good environment, whether it's virtual to begin with, but to then bring that energy in of what I actually want rather than what I don't want. And so that takes conscious awareness to flip it, because our human nature is to stay on the negative. And so our challenge is to flip to what we want, focus on that, bring it in, spread it through the grid. And this can be done in the shower. This can be done at red lights. This can be done while drinking your coffee in the morning. It doesn't have to make your day more complicated. It's not something complex. It's just being aware that you are a part of this grid of light. It's saying you want to use your energies, your longing for a better world, and send that out, and that you're not alone. And it's to remember that when you choose to do that, you are helping 10,000 other people because of critical mass, because of the higher beings taking and magnifying what we do, because of the power of the vibration of those higher feelings of gratitude and love and peace and integrity. Those are very powerful energies. And when we choose to put our focus on those and send those out into the grid, we are helping each one of us is helping 10,000 other people. My hope is that you will feel your heart calling. You will feel your soul calling you to use your energies in that way, to join the grid on the visionholders.org site and become a part of this energy, bringing your unique energy. Each person is needed. And to understand that prayer is a vibration. Prayer is a heart energy. And you can define prayer and do the prayer that matches you. The suggestions are on the website if you want them, but they're simply suggestions. And I invite you to do the same process I've been doing of when you have personal areas that are bringing you pain, that are bringing you heartache, that are bringing you fear, to transform that, because fear is the opposite of love. We start there, but don't stay there. Sit with it, feel it, allow it, give yourself permission, and then flip it to what would it be like with heaven on earth, and to hold those energies of heaven on earth and be a part of creating heaven on earth by contributing your heart energies. Thank you. Namaste.